Welcome to today's Explainer, guys. I am absolutely pumped to guide you through this topic because we are tackling what just might be the ultimate mystery of our very existence. We're going to explore the search for pre-cosmic life. Think about it for a second. Everything you have ever known, every planet, every star, every galaxy, literally every single atom in your own body, they all share the exact same birthday. But what, or maybe even who, might have existed before our reality even began? How could anything possibly survive the birth of a universe? And what kind of unimaginable technology would you need to outlive space-time itself? Today, we're diving deep into the mind-bending theoretical physics that asks a pretty wild question. What if there's an alien species out there that is older than the universe itself? All right, let's jump right in.
13.8 billion. Now, according to modern science, this is the absolute starting line of our universe, of space, and of time. Scientists have actually measured the light left over from the Big Bang, the cosmic microwave background, and they've calculated that our universe is exactly 13.8 billion years old. Now, to us, that sounds like an absolute eternity, right? Human civilization is barely a tiny blink of an eye on this cosmic scale. But in the world of physics, this number is an incredibly hard, non-negotiable limit. See, the Big Bang didn't just create matter, it created space and time themselves. Before this exact moment, there was no before. There was literally no space to stand in and no time to watch pass.
Section 1. The Cosmic Starting Line.
So you might be wondering, why does standard physics insist that existing before this 13.8 billion year limit is completely impossible? Well, to understand that, ask yourself, what is north of the North Pole? This is honestly one of my absolute favorite analogies. When people ask what happened before the Big Bang, standard physics tells us the question itself just doesn't make sense mathematically or physically. It's exactly like asking what is north of the North Pole. It's not that there's some secret hidden landmass up there that we just haven't stumbled upon yet. It's that the actual geometry of the Earth means once you're standing exactly at the North Pole, every single direction you walk is south. The concept of north simply ceases to exist, and it's the exact same thing with time. Once you go all the way back to the singularity of the Big Bang, every direction in time is forward. There is absolutely no physical past beyond that point.
Moving on to Section 2, the Methuselah illusion. But hey, science is all about testing limits, right? So let's compare the age of our universe, 13.8 billion years, with the initial estimated age of a specific star called HD 140283. It's famously known as the Methuselah star, sitting about 200 light years away from Earth. When scientists first calculated its age back in the late 20th century, their findings were wild. They suggested it was 16 billion years old. That is a shocking paradox. How on earth can a star exist inside a universe that is over 2 billion years younger than the star itself? It brings up this crazy logical nightmare. It'd literally be like a child being older than their own parents. For a long time, this was a genuine cosmic mystery. Was our entire understanding of the Big Bang totally wrong? Or was this star actually a visitor from an older reality? Well, the crucial point is how this illusion was finally resolved. Fast forward to 2013, and astronomers used the Hubble Space Telescope to get a much closer, more precise look at the star's distance, its brightness, and its composition. And it turns out, they realized they'd made a few assumptions in those earlier calculations. The refined measurement put the star at 14.5 billion years old, with a margin of error of plus or minus 800 million years. So, if you take the lower end of that margin, the star is about 13.7 billion years old. Boom, that fits perfectly into our universe's timeline. It means it was born just a few 100 million years after the Big Bang, so it doesn't break the laws of physics, after all. However, the Methuselah star successfully sparked a massive, radical what-if investigation among physicists. Is it theoretically possible for something to be truly older than our universe? Which brings us to Section 3, Universes in Cycles. To actually answer that what if, we have to scale our thinking way up, from a single star to the entire cosmos. Enter Conformal Cyclic Cosmology, or CCC for short. This is a beautiful Nobel Prize-winning theory proposed by the brilliant mathematical physicist Sir Roger Penrose. Now, to wrap your head around CCC, just think about a balloon. If you let all the air out of a balloon, it goes completely flat, right? Well, right now, our universe is expanding, but in the ultra-far future, long after all the black holes evaporate, the universe is going to contain nothing but cold, massless photons of light floating in an endless void.
Because photons have no mass and they travel at the speed of light, they literally don't experience time or distance. So the universe essentially loses its sense of scale. It completely forgets how big or small it is. Penrose argues that, mathematically speaking, an infinitely large, empty universe is completely identical to an infinitely small, dense point. So at that stage, it essentially just resets. And this builds a completely new, mind-blowing picture of reality. The previous aeon reaches its end, experiences that total scale loss we just talked about, which mathematically triggers the next Big Bang, launching our current aeon. It's literally an endless loop of reality. The dark, freezing ashes of one dying universe become the fiery, infinitely dense starting line for the next one. So our universe might just be one single link in an infinite chain stretching backward and forward forever. And this brilliantly illustrates where the search for ancient aliens actually comes in. Think about it. If a civilization existed in that previous aeon, could they possibly send a message through the Big Bang? Any physical objects would be totally vaporized, obviously, so Penrose suggests they'd have to write the message directly into the fabric of spacetime itself using supermassive black holes. By intentionally crashing these massive black holes together, an advanced species could generate colossal gravitational waves. Now, Penrose controversially claims that these gravitational ripples could actually survive that violent cosmic transition and leave an imprint on our new universe. He and his team even claim to have found these anomalies. They call them Hawking points, and they spotted them in our own cosmic microwave background satellite data. They basically look like giant concentric circles of temperature variation. Now, to be fair, most cosmologists are pretty skeptical about this, but if it's true, those spots are the ultimate interstellar message from a dying civilization basically saying, hey, we were here. All right, Section 4, the multiverse escape route. Now, infinite cycles aren't the only option on the table. According to the theory of cosmic inflation, the rapid expansion of space might actually be an ongoing, eternal process. Imagine space is like a giant boiling pot of water. First, a new universe expands like a bubble in this boiling pot. In this view, our universe is just one tiny bubble in an infinite rolling foam. Because some of these bubbles popped into existence trillions of years before ours did, Step 2 shows an ancient civilization having an unimaginable amount of time to evolve in advance. Then we get to Step 3. Instead of trying to survive the heat death of their own dying universe, this elder species just builds a dimensional doorway. Using things like traversable wormholes or higher spatial dimensions, they basically abandon their dying elder bubble and cross the multiverse bulk directly into ours. Talk about an escape hatch. Section 5, Surviving a Big Bang. Of course, all of this sounds absolutely incredible, but we really have to address the actual physics here. How could a biological species ever physically survive these violent cosmic transitions? Well, the short answer is they couldn't. Biological life like us, we are way too fragile. Any civilization old enough to survive a universe would absolutely have to be digital or post-biological. So the crucial point becomes how a purely digital civilization manages their power supply as their universe expands and eventually freezes out. This requires what theoretical physicists call the Dyson scenario. It basically boils down to this: slower computation equals stretched energy. If you're entirely digital, you can alter your own perception of time. So instead of thinking at our normal speed, this civilization slows their processing down so immensely that a single thought takes 1,000,000 years to complete. To them, it feels instant. But to the outside universe, they appear completely frozen in time. By consuming only microscopic fractions of energy over these massive intervals, they stretch their survival indefinitely into the freezing expansion of their dying universe.
But what if the universe doesn't freeze? What if instead it collapses back in on itself in a fiery big crunch before resetting? Well, no physical computer could ever survive that kind of heat. Atoms themselves would be totally ripped apart. So to survive that, the civilization would have to abandon physical matter completely, literally leave it all behind. They'd have to upload their minds, their entire history, everything, into patterns of pure energy. Ultimately, the theory goes, they would encode their entire civilization into the structures of gravitational waves. They'd transform into a coherent, wave-based civilization. Basically, they'd become a cosmic-sized software program written directly into the vibrations of space-time itself, ready to just ride out the collapse and guide the next Big Bang.
Section 6, Architects of the Universe. This completely blows my mind and puts our own existence into some serious perspective. You might already be familiar with the standard Kardashev scale. Humanity isn't even a Type 1 civilization yet. We don't even control all the energy on our own planet. A Type 2 controls an entire star. A Type 3 controls a whole galaxy.
But to describe a civilization that is older than the universe itself, we actually have to extend the scale. A Type 4 civilization would control the energy, the dark matter, and even the expansion rate of an entire universe. And a Type 5? They are literal masters of the multiverse. They jump between universes, they create baby universes in their labs, and they basically treat our massive cosmos like a tiny controlled terrarium on their desk. We are incredibly, profoundly primitive compared to the scale.
Which leads us directly to a massive, universe-scaled version of the Fermi paradox. If they are actually older than time itself, where the heck are they? Seriously, if a civilization is billions of years older than our universe, they've had more than enough time to explore every single corner of our cosmos. They should be absolutely everywhere. So why is our sky so quiet?
Well, we've got 3 incredible hypotheses to answer that. First up is the zoo hypothesis, which is basically perfect cloaking. They might view us the exact same way we view ants in the dirt. They have a strict policy of non-interference and simply observe us using technology we couldn't possibly detect even if we tried. Second is the information hypothesis. See, we sit around listening for primitive radio waves, but a Type 4 or Type 5 species might communicate by manipulating gravity itself, or they might even hide data in the non-coding regions of our own DNA. But the third hypothesis, this one is the most humbling, the fabric hypothesis. Maybe they aren't hiding at all. If they encoded themselves into pure energy to survive the Big Bang, maybe they became the fundamental laws of physics. The cosmic constants, the dark matter, the very flow of time, all of it could be the active living technology of this ancient species. They aren't just in the universe, they literally are the universe.
And that beautifully tees up what scientists call the fine-tuning problem. See, physicists have known for a long time that the fundamental constants of our universe, things like the strength of gravity or the mass of an electron, are balanced so perfectly to allow for stars, atoms, and biology to exist. If you change them by even a tiny fraction of a percent, life is completely impossible. So why are we so lucky? Well, what if a Type 5 civilization from a previous universe intentionally programmed these exact life-permitting values into the Big Bang of our universe? They didn't just survive the transition, they actively engineered our reality to ensure that intelligent life would eventually evolve here to sit around and ask these exact kinds of questions.
So I'm going to leave you with one final, deeply provocative question. Did they leave us our existence? In a way, maybe they didn't just leave a cool message hidden in the stars. Maybe they actively built the stage for us to stand on. It's an incredibly inspiring thought, honestly, that mind, intelligence, and curiosity might just be powerful enough to outlast space-time itself. I want to pass this question right over to you. Do you think it's possible a civilization actually survived the birth of our universe and engineered our physics?
Please like and subscribe.